Hello there, thank you for joining us. Welcome to Nightline. I'm Handy Gui. Let's dive into the news. Let's start with the COVID-19 development. Yet one more death was recorded involving a local man aged 40 years old in Cebu. This brings the death toll in Sarawak to 36 cases.
The 36th death case was 1,880 who received treatment at Cebu Hospital for shortness of breath. An RT-PCR test screening test was conducted, found out that the case to be COVID-19 positive. His health condition deteriorated and was confirmed dead on Friday. The case had a comorbid of high blood pressure and dyslipidemia. Meanwhile, Sarawak Health Department had announced a new cluster, the Tabong cluster in Bau Division. Sarawak recorded 179 positive COVID-19 cases, comprising of 65 in Cebu, 54 in Song, 12 in Miri, 11 in Kapit, 7 in Selangau, and 7 in Lundu, 6 in Bau, 5 in Bintulu, 3 in Sabau, while Ramadong and Kanawit recorded 2 cases each. Kuching, Pakan, Samarahan, Serikay, and Serian recorded 1 case each. This brings the total cumulative positive COVID-19 cases in Sarawak to 4,124. Song District in Kapit Division has changed status from orange to red, while Kapit District is now an orange zone.
Meanwhile, Malaysia as a whole recorded 5,725 new COVID-19 cases on Friday. This is the highest number of recorded daily cases so far.
Out of the 5,725 new cases, 5,268 were local transmissions, while 7 cases were imported, involving 5 citizens and 2 foreigners. The number of recovered cases stands at 3,423, with a total cumulative number of recovered cases at 157,722, or 77.34% of cases. 16 new deaths were also recorded on Friday, bringing the total death toll to 733 cases, or 0.36%.
The first simulation of the COVID-19 vaccine delivery dry run into rural areas ran smoothly without affecting its quality. Deputy Minister of Health Datuk Aaron Dagang said the process was important to ensure that the vaccine arrived at the vaccination location safely and securely.
Pengekalan suhu ultra sejuk negatif 75% centigrade, vaksin keluaran Pfizer terjamin sepanjang tempoh penghantaran dari tempat penghilangan di Belgium ke klinik kesihatan di Belaga ini. Dan juga selain dari itu, kita juga dapat menilai kebolehsanaan proses-proses terlibat dalam pengendalian vaksin COVID-19 di seluruh Malaysia. Dan draft panduan pengendalian vaksin COVID-19 ini telah dibangunkan oleh pihak Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia.
The vaccine was delivered from Belgium in a thermal shipper to maintain its temperature to Belaga, which took 5 days.
Penerimaan thermal shipper yang digunakan untuk menyimpan vaksin Pfizer semasa proses penghantaran dari penghilang. Kita juga dapat menimba pengalaman secara jelas bagaimana thermal shipper perlu dikendalikan. Penilaian suhu penyimpanan dibuat, vaksin dipindahkan ke tempat penyimpanan ataupun the top loading refrigerator, dan pemulangan thermal shipper kepada pembekal.
Belaga was chosen as the first location for the dry run simulation to take place after taking into consideration the rural location and geographical condition. Meanwhile, a question arose about the effect of temperature changes on the vaccine that rendered it ineffective. And this was the response of Pfizer's Nerian Berhad Company representative Zuria Syam Zainal Abidin.
Sekali apabila dia masih lagi berada di dalam bidang kuasa Pfizer akan ambil kalau dia ada escalation, temperature dia berubah ataupun suhu dia berubah, kami akan ambil dan hantar semula ke bahagian medical science. Tapi apabila berada di already kita dan negara kita sudah menerima vaksin itu, dia ada pula proses yang kemudian yang menggunakan pihak dan menggunakan semula sekiranya ada beberapa perkara yang tidak memenuhi ketetapan yang
Right, moving on. Meanwhile, Member of Parliament from Sibuti, Lukan Nisman Awangsoni, hopes that the Sarawak State Disaster Management Committee, SDMC, will issue a full guideline regarding the vaccine procedures after the simulation delivery dry run was done on Friday.
Ya, kerana dikatakan ada lebih kurang lebih 50 lokasi tempat penyimpanan vaksin untuk proses suntikan. So meaningslah kalau kita lihat untuk konteks negeri Sarawak ni ada bandar, luar bandar, pinggir bandar dan pendalaman. So pada honestly lah, jujurlah pada so di kawasan pendalaman memang kita totally dapat pakai Pfizer. Dan juga minta sida rakyat kita tu bersedia-sedialah dari segi mentally, berapa lama proses vaksin tu, apa pun SOP, something like that lah, supaya kita kelam kabut lah.
According to him, the Sarawak government is putting in effort by providing another alternative if the Pfizer vaccine is not compatible with the people residing in rural areas. Besides that, the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation and the Ministry of Health will provide guidelines as well. However, he asserted that SDMC plays an important role in providing one since the committee has influence on the people. The residential office and district office had started the work together with the government to collect information on residents in every longhouse and village to facilitate the vaccine distribution in the future.
The trend of teenage pregnancy in Sarawak has shown a decrease in the number of cases since 2014. This year recorded a decline of 1,302.
According to the Minister of Welfare, Community Wellbeing, Women, Family and Childhood Development Sarawak, Dato' Sri Fatimah Abdullah, the decrease is due to the holistic approach that was executed by the ministry through the social welfare development.
Bila kita kira dari segi peratusan penurunan secara keseluruhannya ialah 38.3%. We have managed to reduce by 1,302 cases. Dari segi penurunan antenatal, kehamilan remaja atau jumlah kes baru antenatal menunjukkan penurunan by 2.2%.
She explained further that a sharp decline was recorded from 2014 until 2020 in Samarahan district with 57.2%, Betong 55.6% and Muka 53%. Meanwhile, she urged all teenagers in the state to come forward and receive assistance from the ministry. According to Fatima, the ministry has provided a shelter for pregnant teenagers located at Taman Seri Putri.
Taman Seri Putri, Jabatan Kebajikan Masyarakat Sarawak. Kebanyakan kes yang masuk ke situ adalah di atas perintah mahkamah. Kes rogol misalnya, ada kes yang luar kawalan, tapi kita mahu melihat yang tampil secara sukarela untuk ditempatkan di Taman Seri Putri.
The Works Ministry KKR has launched the KKR Organizational Strategic Plan 2021 to 2025 based on 4 thrusts. The 4 thrusts focus on the construction industry's effort in reviving Malaysia's economy towards realizing the Shared Prosperity Vision 2030.
Senior Minister of Works Dato' Sri Fadilah Yusof said the first thrust was to enhance infrastructure development and regional inclusion, while the second thrust was to expand the usage of digital technology in infrastructure development and maintenance.
Thrust ketiga, memperkasakan kapasiti dan kebolehan serta daya saing industri pembinaan. Dan thrust keempat, memantapkan tadbir urus organisasi untuk meningkatkan kecekapan penyampaian perkhidmatan.
Fadilah added the strategic trust was supported by an action plan, monitoring and evaluation to ensure that it is in line with the government's aspiration. He said the strategic plan also took into consideration the ability to realize the 12th Malaysian Plan, preparedness to explore the 4th Industrial Revolution or Industry 4.0 and upcoming policies. Fadilah said the growing and challenging customer demand requires a holistic and responsive strategic planning.
Kementerian Kerja Raya akan terus memainkan peranan sebagai pemacu dalam membangunkan kemudahan infrastruktur serta ejen perubahan dalam industri pembinaan negara. Pelan strategik organisasi Kementerian Kerja Raya 2021-2025 akan menjadi dokumen penting untuk menunjukkan komitmen KKR serta agensi.
Hello there, welcome back. Now moving on, recent days have seen rising numbers of COVID-19 infections in the state and the whole country, including the longhouses. However, we seldom pay attention to those who have recovered. One such person is 34-year-old Noria Wen, hailing from Ngemah Kanawit.
Noria fortunately recovered from COVID-19 14 days after she was diagnosed as positive on January 12. Noria gave a word of advice: do not worry and don't be afraid if symptoms arise.
Bangsa bukai megak, nanti semak kita bisik tanda-tanda bakal bisik ngasai ke pemedis, pedis dada, batuk, flu ataupun pedis kepala. Anda takut, kita ngagai hospital. Anda mikir, pama udah kena penyakit tu, kita segini ada jalan bukai, ngujung ke mati, anda yang berkenyak.
If COVID patients had prioritized health all this while, then there is every possibility of recovery.
Gerinti suman kita yang paling penting, kita mesti positif. Anda yang rundiang utai ke negatif. Lapan makin kita positif, makin kita mikir rempu kak gerai, uliah suman, penyakit tu alah lapan kita. Ini yang paling penting.
Most importantly, according to Noria, is a high compliance to the standard operating procedures.
Mesti nyaga pengelikun rempu, nitiah ke sopi pada perintah lah. Pasuk jaring, nak face mask, jauh ke diri ngau orang, anda yang semek. Utainya sama magian. Nanti di kuarantin, dutu pun ngasuh kita belajar dengan caranya. Lapannya aja cara kena kita yang memunas ke penyakit tu. Pama sudah kena.
Meanwhile, to those having niggling fears of recovered COVID-19 patients, Noria urged them to not be fearful as the likelihood of reinfection is slim.
Minta tolong semua bala ke luar. Pama nuan bisa nemu kaban belayan ka. Udah positif tapi ya udah berubat. Udah ambil tempoh karantin, udah palsuat, daso bala dutur, bala misi. Anda yang takut ke sida, anda yang kecil ke sida. Sida yang nadai boleh ngerampit nuan lagi.
In a bid to curb the spread of COVID-19, Borneo Medical Center Kuching is ready to cooperate by helping out in the treatment of patients. According to the chairman of its board of directors, Dr. Chew Chi Ming, this was based on the proclamation of emergency.
Last year, 2020, we have been handling some patients from government public hospital, so-called outsourced public-private partnership to look after the non-COVID patient. Right? But now, under the emergency ordinance, we are asked to admit the COVID patient as well.
Dr. Chew added that among the plannings were the preparation for special wards and the intensive care units.
Planning for expansion of Borneo Medical Center at the present Salvation Army land, and we are working with the state government for planning purposes, right, to make up to 200 beds hospital at the Simpang Tiga site. We are planning, we are allocating about a ward of 8 beds at the moment with ICU facilities at Borneo Medical Center, and that is in the planning phase at the moment. We're renovating now.
Commenting further, Dr. Chew said that since the closure of borders, this has taken an effect towards medical tourism since due to the decrease of foreigners seeking treatment at the center.
the border are closed. Our main bulk of patients are from Indonesia. So at Borneo Medical Center, we have about 15% of patients coming to us, mainly for secondary, tertiary care for cancer treatment, because we have got the only radiotherapy unit in the private center in Sarawak. So at the moment, no Indonesian patients are coming. Right? So it affects us very severely, right?
However, Dr. Chiu remains optimistic towards containing the COVID-19 situation through the synergy established.
Right. Now, 569 sets of personal protective equipment were given to Form 5 and Form 6 students at various middle schools in Tabong Division in preparation for the face-to-face school session.
According to Layar Assemblyman Gerald Rentap Jabu, the equipment were provided with the cooperation of Layar Constituency Service Centre and Squad Kasih Sayang plus Layar. He said the handing over of the PPE sets is aimed at ensuring the personal health and cleanliness of students, as well as reminding them of the standard operating procedures. The PPE sets are complete with a sanitizer, face mask and alcohol-based tissue wipes. Among the schools involved are SMK St. Augustine Betong, SMK Datuk Pati Kedit, SMK Ulu Layar, MRSM Betong and Betong Vocational College.
The Muka Youth Camp has been converted into a low-risk COVID-19 quarantine and treatment centre. The decision was made by Muka Disaster Management Committee, JBBM, and Muka Hospital.
According to Muka resident Hamdia Bakir, the establishment of quarantine centre was a directive under Sarawak State Disaster Management Committee or SDMC. The centre acts as an alternative in treating low-risk COVID-19 patients after Sibu and Bintulu hospitals that were overwhelmed with patients. She said the quarantine and treatment centre provides 50 spaces, including 25 treatment beds. As soon as the treatment centre is completed within 2 days, the hospital management will take over and begin operations. A total of 50 healthcare personnel will be on duty every day in 2 shifts, comprising 1 medical officer, 2 assistant medical officers, 2 nurses, and as well as police and RELA personnel.
Right. The Ministry of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Miri branch personnel confirmed there was no gouging of computer and handphone prices at business premises in Miri.
The matter was confirmed after he and his 3 officers went to inspect business premises selling gadgets in Miri under Ops Chatut 8.0 on Thursday. In a statement, he warned that if any of the traders were to gouge prices of electronic devices, the ministry will not hesitate to take stern action.
Malaysia will not implement a total lockdown on the economy, even if the worst-case scenario comes true. This assurance was made by the Finance Minister Tunku Dato Seri Zafrul Abdul Aziz. He said the government will continue to focus on enforcing more stringent standard operating procedures, SOP, should the number of COVID-19 cases remain high in the country.
He added core issues such as the adherence and enforcement of the SOPs should be addressed. Zafrul stressed the government will continue to monitor if there is a need to tighten the existing Movement Control Order or MCO 2.0. However, Zafrul acknowledged that the negative risk of implementing MCO was still there even though the government had implementing stimulus steps including the biggest 2021 budget allocation. MCO 2.0 was different as 90% of the economic sector that contributed to the country's gross domestic product or GDP was operating. At the same time, Zafrul was confident that the growth target of 6.5% to 7.5% for the year 2021 could still be achieved. Meanwhile, the fiscal deficit target was maintained at 5.4% following large expenses allocated through stimulus package.
The Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, MDEC, has recently launched its alternative funding program for 2021. This program would see MDEC partnering with 11 crowdfunding operators to help entrepreneurs tide over the economic challenges brought on by the COVID-19 onslaught.
Chief Executive Officer Surina Shukri said this was MEDEC's second year running the alternative funding program led by its Global Growth Acceleration Division or GGA following its successful launch in 2020. In the year 2020, 16 companies were listed on participating platforms with a total of 19.89 million ringgit were raised. Launched in April 2020, the alternative funding program saw MEDEC partnering with 7 crowdfunding operators to offer alternative channels for startups to obtain funds. Venture capitalists or VCS were also being less than receptive to new investments, especially towards early-stage startups due to the uncertainties caused by the pandemic. Among the startups that successfully raised funding through the program including Policy Street, who raised $1.8 million or 7.8 million ringgit, which is the largest fund raised to date from an equity crowdfunding or ECF platform in Malaysia. Entrepreneurs who wish to explore this alternative financing option may submit their interest at the MEDEC official website. This drive began on January 27 and will end on 31st March 2021.
Hello there, thank you for staying with us. Now moving on. The curfew in the waters of 7 districts in the Eastern Sabah Security Zone, also known as S-Zone, which is scheduled to end tomorrow, has been extended until February 14th.
Sabah Police Commissioner Dato' Hazani Ghazali said the curfew covers the water of Tawau, Semporna, Kuna, Lahad Datu, Kinabatangan, Sandakan and Beluran. He said those living in the area are prohibited from approaching or being in the waters of the 7 districts between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. Moreover, the curfew order was also to facilitate enforcement and monitoring of boat movements, while the presence of security vessels would create a sense of security for chalet operators and fishermen in the area.
The newly discovered Lionhead rock formation in Tucson Beach, Bacanu, has reportedly collapsed. According to a local report, freelance photographer Lee Voon Fah captured aerial drone footage of the missing Lionhead on January 24th.
Through the photos and videos taken by the drone, which were then posted on Facebook, Lee said he only found debris at the location where the Lionhead used to be, with only a portion of the rock left standing. Bacanu Assemblywoman Dato' Rosie Yunus, when contacted by TVS, said the rock formation collapsed due to natural causes.
Sebenarnya punca keruntuhan kepala singa ini lebih kepada semula jadi kerana berlaku ombak besar di sekitar pantai tersebut. Amat difahami sangatlah bentuk tanahnya di situ sangat lembut. Dan ianya berubah ikut keadaan dan cuaca. Bila gelombang besar memang akan berlaku hakisan yang teruk kerana tanah dan juga pasirnya sangat lembut.
The soft soil structure and erosion caused by waves also caused the collapse of the famous Drinking Horse Head last year, a famous rock formation that propelled Tucson Beach to popularity, along with the Blue Tears phenomenon. Rosie Yunus said efforts are being made to conserve these fragile rock formations.
Kita perlu mendapatkan pandangan daripada expert untuk melihat cara mana dapat mengurangkan hakisan tersebut. Jadi yang kita lihat secara kasarnya, satu daripadanya boleh dibina wave breaker, tapi ia tidak akan menyelesaikan masalah secara keseluruhan, sebab bila ombak besar ianya akan masih lagi melepasi wave breaker itu contohnya. Tapi ia boleh merupakan satu daripada cara, itu dengan membina benteng pemecah ombak supaya ombak itu tidak terus ataupun direct kepada pembentukan di pantai.
A World War II bomb found in a village area of Simpang 11, Kampung Jawa, was successfully detonated today.
Labuan Acting Police Chief DSP Muhammad Ibrahim Muhammad Ghani said the bomb, weighing 35 kilograms, was found 2 meters below the ground by a 50-year-old worker who was doing earthwork in the area at 11 a.m. on Thursday. He noted after careful examination, the bomb disposal team confirmed that the object is an exploded ordnance. Muhammad Ibrahim said the 2-foot-long metal military device was detonated at 12:30 p.m. at a safer place outside of town.
United States President Joe Biden signed on Thursday 2 executive orders aimed at rolling back his predecessor's healthcare legacy.
Biden said Trump's orders resulted in making healthcare more inaccessible, more expensive, and more difficult for people to qualify for. The orders seek to strengthen Medicaid and the universal healthcare law brought into force while Biden was vice president in the Obama administration and undo Trump's efforts to curtail women's access to abortion. One of the orders allows for a website on which Americans sign up for insurance under the universal healthcare law to open for a special enrollment period from February 15 through March 15 for new enrollees. In addition, it is of particular importance amid the coronavirus pandemic that has ravaged the U.S. While more than 431,000 people have been killed by the virus, those who survive run the risk of long-term health consequences, including lung scarring and heart complications.
Now, former Malaysian squash player Dato' Nicole David is on the verge of winning the world's game's greatest athletes of all time with a comfortable lead in the online poll.
Although being the only Asian candidate, the 8-time squash world champion had garnered 240,296 votes as of 2 p.m. on Friday to lead the race with more than 100,000 vote advantage. The closest competitors is Irish James Kehoe, representing Tug of War with 97,140 votes, followed by German Marcel Hassemeyer Life-Saving with 78,686 votes, with woman powerlifting athlete Larissa Soloviova from Ukraine with 68,220 votes. The voting at the official website of the World Games greatest athlete of all time will be closed on Monday, February 1st at 2 p.m. Central European Time, CET, or 9 p.m. Malaysian time.
Well, that wraps up the Nightline. With that, I'm Hendy Gui. Thank you for joining us. Have a pleasant night.